So we're back in near Harpenden with Classic Car Solutions, and today we're going to hopefully start our engine build with Nathan. So yeah, going to do some head work, going to start building the crankcase up hopefully, and there's a little bit of work still to do on the crank itself, so let's go and meet Nathan and get on with the work.
On the exhaust here, we've already sort of cut down in there a little bit and just blended it out. Very little material taken out, it's more of a blend. So on the inlets now, you can see...
Just to smooth it, was it?
To smooth it and open it out a little bit.
Right, yeah.
So rather than doing a big valve conversion, getting the most conservatively out of your standard valves.
Okay.
So on a bit more of a... let's get all the tooling over here. On something that you'd be going for a bit more power, it's all about mathematics.
Right.
So it's working out the valve size and then making the throat 0.9 of that. We're going a little bit under that.
Okay.
Because it's air cooled, so we need to keep...
Don't want it too big a bang,
Yeah, well, you've got to cool the valve, and that's what the seat and the guide does. So you can't go too racy on the seat profile. So where we were here is we get this set. We were going to go for intake 1.125 on the throat, which at the moment we are. So we're going for...
Okay, so that's the seat size there,
That's the valve size.
It's not valve size, times 0.9, which gives you that.
So we're going under that.
And what is that 28.8? Is that...
That's the diameter.
Diameter inside.
Of the hole,
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to take too much material out because limited real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was struggling with those exhausts for a little bit yesterday because normally with small valve stuff like this, the pilot's a lot smaller, so it gives you more access for the tooling.
Right.
So I've had to reprofile this tool quite a bit on the diamond on the diamond plate. It took forever. But the thing is, I'd rather put the time aside and sort my tooling out.
Yeah.
Because it's repeatable.
Okay, yeah.
It won't be the last time I'm doing one of these. Right, so we were going for 24.7, which is half a mil under the 0.9. 24.7, 1.125. So
on the exhaust is 24.7, yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, we're intake, so 1.125, so we'll go 1.100.
Oh, you converted it to inches, right?
Yeah, this gauge is in inches. It seems to be a bit of a theme, doesn't it? Normally I'd run some form of protection on these, but we're having this skimmed anyway, so...
Yeah. Is that just because it couldn't flick out?
No, just because where I'm clamping.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally we'd run a soft thing on there. So just levelling it up. Shoot this on the money.
So you've basically done this to the exhaust ones already? We're doing it to the inlet ones now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But exactly the same process?
Yeah, but different sizing.
Different size tools, yeah.
Yes, correct. little bit to wake up in the morning, get the air pressure running through it. Is that right? So we're kind of correcting the geometry here.
Yeah.
Because when they've done it in the factory, they, well, limited time as to what they could do.
How do you know how deep to take it?
It's kind of a visual thing.
Right.
I've got a stop set up here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're probably going to go a bit bigger, to be honest. We'll see how the next one comes out.
And do you, obviously you're doing the inlet and the exhaust, is there one that gives you better power than the other, or is it?
They sort of work together.
Right, okay.
The exhaust is always smaller than the inlet.
Yes, yeah, I get that, but it's kind of, would you be a fool to do one and not the other?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some things vary a little bit because you've got different head designs and stuff like that. And there's some heads will have a restriction in certain areas and
Yeah.
some. So we're going to go a touch bigger on the tooling.
Okay. It's been fascinating to see one of these come out the original modes.
Yeah. Well, they can never quite get them, the castings low volume now as good as they did in the day.
Yeah. Fascinating that it cuts on the way back up as well.
Yeah, I mean you could drag it up without cutting,
Yeah.
but because you can sometimes have the tool off, because I'm running a radius end tool that's not really cutting on a point,
Yeah.
so it will tend to do that. That's really what I would ideally want. Right, let me go and nibble further on this, and then a bit further on depth. As you can hear, very even cut, so it centralised itself in exactly the same place.
Yeah.
just taking a little bit of material, very small amount of material out there.
Yeah.
We've cut this central throat down the middle, and it's picked up any areas where you want to. You can see it's taken more off this side
Yeah.
than it has off this side.
Yeah.
So we're technically correcting it here.
Okay.
We want to be taking very little material out, but that will give us a guide to sort of hand finish to.
Okay. Does the hand finish go deeper?
Yeah, just sort of blends that area.
Yeah, okay.
Blends it so you've got sort of softer finishes. I mean, we could go in and cut the final seat right now, but as we're grinding, we could slip and cut the seat a little bit.
Right, you mean
So
the
The
this
actual,
bit, yeah.
So we'll just do a little bit of pre-hand finishing as we've done the exhaust, and then we will chuck it back on that machine and cut the seats.
Okay. So there are arguments about whether it should be like really smooth or slightly
Yeah,
thin. What's your view?
I mean, the 1970s approach would be everything really smooth,
Right?
but you kind of lose fuel atomization.
Yeah.
And it's a street car at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you want it a little bit rough and a little bit smooth in the right place, really.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of old school people would just polish everything and all down the straight runs and everything like that. And doesn't struggle to move down straight holes. It's the corners which it struggles with.
Okay.
Yeah, I can sit here for hours and hours and hours doing this.
Right.
But, you know, we're running a standard carb and standard exhaust.
Yeah. Or diminishing returns, right?
Yeah, precisely.
And I assume you can go too far as well.
Precisely. Yeah, on the exhaust I did hit a spot of porosity as sort of a casting imperfection. You know, it's just going very gently and a sort of a piece fell out, but this hasn't gone through. So you're also dealing with casting imperfections and things like that. That's why it's nice to hand finish out some of these imperfections. Another bit of the most important area is the short side radius, just sort of
as it goes around,
around. That's probably where you get the biggest gain, but this is another process we will quickly run through with you.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people will just over port stuff.
Yeah.
I try and stay away from the word porting and sort of call it more blending. At the end of the day, the biggest restriction is the valve.
Right.
So a lot of it becomes somewhat redundant. Alright, so now we're going to jump through to the other room again.
Yep.
So this may seem a bit crude, but it's the quickest way to achieve a very good short side radius.
Okay. And what kind of grit?
We're on 120. I mean, as said, I could go and go and go and go and go, but just for the purposes of YouTube, we'll keep it nice and quick. We'll call that a day on that. Maybe a little bit more in the future to follow up with, but yeah, sometimes this new old stock stuff didn't pass its grading when it was new.
Oh, really?
Unlikely in this situation, but sometimes I've come across this. I've come across this recently on a set of Subaru heads.
Right.
And yeah, they were cheap and brand new. They needed a lot of correcting.
Right.
Which obviously in an OEM situation, they don't have that beauty.
Yeah.
I think you'd probably find that some of this work I'm doing here, just some of this hand finishing and a little bit correcting the valve throats and stuff like that, you'll often find that the press cars had that treatment.
Right.
The cars that they and then what the peasants got was a very different thing.
Stick my finger in one of these?
Yeah. So you sort of feel on the backside it's just sort of smoothed off a little bit. So for example on the exhaust around here you'll feel it's quite coarse on the edge.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So it's just sort of softening that area really. Another wee tip is to try and flatten up the port bottom. As in where it's curved around, try and make it a bit flatter.
Yeah.
But then there's a offset between dropping the port down, so the two sort of contradict each other.
Right.
So it's sort of a nice compromise between the two. I think if there was one thing that the DIY guy could do to improve things a little bit, it'd be this method here, the short side radius. I see a lot of people doing big valve conversions where they sort of haven't done haven't gained anything.
Yeah.
I think with the right sort of approach, you can probably get more out of a standard valve than going to a big valve in a bad environment.
I mean, these are small horsepower engines anyway, so
yeah,
you're just trying to make it
more efficient.
Slightly better,
yeah, efficiency's more sort of
run right as well, right?
Yeah.
Presumably better airflow on the exhaust as well allows the exhaust airs to go out and so keep the engine cooler, does it?
Yeah, I guess that could be the theory. I think by the book you want exhaust to stay warm because it moves quicker.
Right, okay.
But yeah, out of the engines, it can definitely lower exhaust gas temperatures by reducing turbulence. So we'll call that a day at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you might go a bit further later.
Might do a little bit of a finish up off camera, but started here as well. We took all of your measurements, as in your tip height, because now we're going
tip height, sorry.
The height of this tip here.
Okay.
Because we're going to be removing a touch of material to cut the seat a little bit further out than what it was.
Right.
So we've got recorded data of where everything was beforehand, as well as CC, which we will go through with you again once everything's been skimmed.
Yeah.
As in the volume of this.
Okay.
Of the chamber with the valves and spark plug in.
Yeah.
So that we know once we've finished how much we've changed.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that it should matter in your situation, because you're not going up compression and stuff like that, but it's always best practice to record everything.
Do you need the springs in order to be able to measure?
We will do once we're finished.
Fine.
And that will be on this machine here.
Okay.
But we might need shims and stuff like that. We will figure it out.
Okay.
So have all your different angles on. So you can see that's like a 4-angle cutter. That will give you your 3-angle cut.
Yeah, people are like talking about 3-angle, 4-angle, 5-angle. Is there? Do you always
more the merrier?
Oh, really? Okay.
You want to soften the blow a little bit, or
Right.
soften the things, you know.
Okay.
But it depends on.
There seemed to be some debate when I was watching videos online.
Yeah, I think this industry more than any else.
Just full of debate.
There's so many ways to add to 11, is the saying. A lot of people tell you can't do something without giving you any feasible way of doing it another way. Yeah, they say do this, do that. Or don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. So it's a bit of a tough one. After a while you sort of get a little bit relaxed, and the results speak for themselves. It's often about recording the data that you do have.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't quite work out, you know where to go on the next time.
And it's 1.5 mil.
1.5 mil, yeah. We're not going racing, so keep it nice and safe, and we'll go a little bit thicker on the exhaust. We'll see how it works out. We may narrow off that a little bit afterwards.
1.5 mil is the kind of
the width.
Be the width of the seat. Yeah.
So the width of that grey area.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So this stage of it's really important that it dials up and centralises just so, because otherwise the seat won't seal. That's the main part of this machine really, is that it's dead centre.
Right.
Which is why it's got the pilot thingy that goes through the middle, and it's got the airbed, so it sort of floats around and finds its centre.
Yeah, because the hand tools just seem to sit on it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean you kind of hand correct the hand tools. Don't get me wrong, they can be very good. But I think this is just a bit quicker as well. Gives you more options.
And it cuts the 3 bevels at the same time, doesn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Depending on how much space you've got there. It's just always so dark in this machine, which is a pain, and you can't really put my magnetic torch on it.
I'm just doing the depth by eye, are you?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking until it cuts off its top angle.
Yeah.
So it's done its throat. So I can see it's cut the top angle, so that should be. That's the one. Looks like they're about in the right place. I think I'm going to have to reface as well, because it's not looking the best. But let's give it a very light lap. Some people argue against lapping
Yeah, I've seen that.
because it puts an imperfection. I mean, I'm using the finest paste available, it's purely a visual.
Right.
So yes, they're kind of right that you shouldn't lap. For the abuse these things go through,
It's just to show that it's got a reasonably good seal, right?
yeah, it's a visual thing. I did go away from lapping and then I got bitten a couple of times by some bad tooling and I'm back to lapping again now. But as you'll see, it's very, very light. I'm adding a little bit of honing oil to your lapping mix. That's about it.
You're not looking for any particular sound or anything, you're just looking, you're just feeling it.
Yeah. So, as you can see on here, we've got the tooling set perfectly.
Okay.
So you can see where that's contacting.
Yeah.
And then you can see it's got the little margin on the outside where it's
Yeah.
not contacting. That gives you a wear margin.
Okay.
So once it starts wearing a little bit, it's not going to impede airflow.
Right.
So first set the tool, perfect.
Okay, so you don't need to change that.
No, with size,
Okay.
So it's a little bit hard to see in here. You have to have good eyesight to pick up on this. You can see there's a little silver
you
line
can
under
see
the grey,
Yeah.
and then on the top there's
Yeah.
a very, very slight
Yeah.
top cut.
Yeah.
So that is a 3-angle cut.
Yeah, okay.
Some would argue that it's actually a 4 because I've done the throat on the downside.
Right.
And then often you'll introduce the 5th by doing a top cut
Yeah.
in a chamber blend. I don't think we'll go as far as we need to on this.
No.
So yeah, great success as Borat would say. Get it. Machine sticks a little bit sometimes. Okay. Yeah, this is a honing oil I'm using there, or a grinding oil, not WD-40,
Yeah.
as a lot of people would use, because WD-40 is a water displacer, not a cutting oil. Get our top angle now. I'm taking a little bit more to clean up.
That one looking okay as well?
Yeah, spot on.
Good.
Could have gone a little bit more if I wanted to, but we'll try and keep the heights nice and where they are.
Yeah.
Another good tell is if it bounces like that.
Okay.
Because if it was off centre, it wouldn't bounce.
Yeah.
Like a dub noise. Back tests are not lacty, but so we're right into the green. That is a 10 out of 10 vac test, considering you're splitting the vac test between two valves.
Yeah.
So that's normally what you'd expect from one valve. So
it's about 0.7 bar, would it?
yeah, green. yeah. Yeah, you sort of get to start to know machines, and you know on the offset when they're not right.
Okay. Is there any pressure with your hands there, or is it
very, very little?
Yeah.
More or less its own weight. So yeah, once again, we've got a little margin on the outside, so it will wear in nicely.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to change that.
Okay.
We could go slightly in if we wanted to, but it's not going to be.
When you say in, you mean deeper, or?
A little bit more of a wear margin, as in move the seat margin in a little bit, but we have a margin.
Yeah.
Which is better than what most do. I mean, if you were doing really high mileage, you'd want to bring it in to be a wear margin.
Right.
But the only risks of that wear margin is to have an area to wear into.
Yeah.
So once it has worn in, just sort of shrouds the valve a little bit, but it's talking amounts that would never affect anything. This has ended up being just a 2-angle.
Okay.
So exhaust, seat to throat.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's not much real estate there. That's what it comes down to.
So back in the 60s, 70s, would it have been a single angle, or would it have been multi?
I think you find a lot of OEM stuff does run 3-angle.
Okay.
And then bad machine shops have said that's not important.
Right.
But I think it is important to have your angles, so you're not shrouding the valve. I mean, a lot of things go to machine shops and they come back with less power than when they were new.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be the other way, but then I'm blessed with a bit more time than most places. Starting to get a top angle now. Right, so right up in the green again on the back test. So yeah, shouldn't be bad. We're just going to do a little 30-degree back cut on it.
Okay.
Just to help the air.
Okay.
Help the air on its way in.
On the inlet.
On the inlet only.
Okay.
We don't back cut exhaust for thermal reasons.
So when you say back cut, you mean on this angle here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll see the difference before. Well, we can lay the two next to each other and see. Okay, so 30's not going to work. It's the way it is. So where you're going to do it is a 33 degree.
Okay.
Right. So this machine started life at the Ford R&D department in Dagenham, apparently.
Ended up here.
Yeah.
What's the liquid?
It's grinding oil coolant. So yeah, you can see just this little margin here which we've removed. So that's called a back cut. Not much going on there,
Yeah.
but every little helps. It sort of helps to eliminate that step there.
Yeah.
Questionably pointless in this situation, but we go through the motions.
Yeah.
Every little counts.
I guess so you don't have to make sure the drill is exactly straight.
Yeah. we've got a fair amount to come out of those. What we'll do is we'll run through all 4 of them as a brief sort of start.
Yeah.
And then this is something we may come back to, because we could be sitting here for
Okay.
half an hour, and that doesn't make great YouTube, does it?
Well, I can edit.
Oh dear.
Quite tight. You can.
It's just because the head is so light, it doesn't really want to stay there.
Right.
I don't know exactly what we're going to do about that.
Going to hold it down.
Yeah, we might be able to get it in the vise, to be honest.
Okay.
So I mean, up until this point, we're probably just removing oxide, or
Does brass oxide a lot then, or?
not a great deal, but just sort of builds up a little bit of stuff on there, you know.
Right.
And we're kind of correcting it as well. I can feel that there's different levels of sort of taking area out of one and not the other, which is why the hone is so good, because it takes the high spots, not the low spots.
Yeah.
Something that would never pick up on camera, but you can see there's highs and low spots in there.
Oh, really?
It's very standard.
Within those tubes?
Yeah, you'll see some areas which are sort of a bit cleaner than others. It's something a lot of people sort of overlook because they don't have the tooling. But guide clearance is very important. If you hone them to the correct clearance, then you can leave them a little bit tighter and they won't seize. Where if you don't have the right clearance, what the inlet is done.
That one's better, is it?
Yeah.
Can I have a feel between the one that's good and one that's bad?
Yes. So let's say these two. Inlet is always less clearance and exhaust needs more. But
Exhaust needs more clearance.
yeah, so you'll feel the exhaust is virtually none.
Okay.
And the inlet now has a little bit. So it's the side to side.
Yeah, I can feel some side side there, but that's not enough.
No, not for exhaust.
Okay.
So we're going to say this is good.
And it's to allow for heat expansion, right?
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to do this other inlet. So yeah, inlets are done.
Okay.
To be honest, the exhausts are going to need a bit more.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. I'll leave the tooling set and we'll do it post surface grind after you've had the top machine.
Okay.
Because we'll be sitting here for probably half an hour and we can...
And that's fine to do after you machine it?
Yeah, yeah. I'll normally go from the back as well just to even them up.
Okay.
So now we're going to see check our heights afterwards.
Okay.
So we've got a gauge here that will zero at 1 inch.
Okay.
And that will tell us how much we've taken off the seats. It's always nice to know. I suspect more has come off. 1.760. It's quite a lot's come off, but we can counter for that.
Okay.
Just because we've changed the seat width, so we've had to go into some new material.
Sorry, that's a bigger size. Because that's
yeah, we've taken material off, and the inlet has been less aggressive. 728, but we can correct the tip heights and the spring tension afterwards. So 20 thou came off that, and around 40 on that. 32.
Yeah, they did have a kind of a washer that sits in the base here.
Yes, a shim.
Yeah.
Yeah, all springs will sit on a shim.
Right. And then you have to adjust it for what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, often you're just checking.
Right.
It's more often we'll find a dead spring.
What's that one that doesn't compress properly?
Yeah, one that's just weak on tension.
Right.
But typically, I have here. Massive collection of spring shims, and we will introduce shims that are the right size to suit.
Okay.
Suspect that is looking about the same size as a Porsche. Nope. Anyways, we'll have something in there that will do it.
Okay.
If not, we'll be able to order.
Do you want me to go and get what I've got?
Yeah, that'll be good. Then we can finish up, go through all of these checks while we're here. You can check the springs individually. I prefer to do them as a complete package.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've recorded the tip height that we already did, and then from this point on we're going to keep all of these in order.
Yeah.
These are a strange retainer, aren't they?
Yep. They're a pain to get out, that's for sure.
It's a retainer, that's a minus number. That is number 1 exhaust, yes. Right, another gauge.
So you would struggle to do this on your own, in a home setting, to do it
well. Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of tools to do it well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't go to the lengths that I do.
I'm sure a lot of engine builders do.
No. Well, the other way to look at things is if you're doing things day in and day out and you've got a lot of, how would we say, jobs hanging over you, because everything's warranted obviously, is you get caught out quite quickly. So if you build only a few, you can cut some corners and not really have much risk. It's like playing lotto. Is that, I'll do 10 engines and I'll find one with a couple of bad valve springs.
Yeah.
But sort of in a fortunate situation here where people are willing to pay me to do things properly. And in your situation, you're doing it yourself, but to have someone to do the checks for you is a good thing.
Yeah. So what's this measuring?
So this is measuring tip to retainer.
Okay.
Which I'll show you in a second.
It should be pretty equal, shouldn't it, between the...
well, this is where I found the greatest variation generally.
Okay.
But then we've got a big variation on the tip heights.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Which in some elements the tip height is an introduced fault measurement because we've cut quite a bit off the exhaust seat.
Yeah.
But we've got a fair bit of scope to play with. So yeah, this is that measurement there.
Yeah, yeah. That very top bit.
Yes. Right, so it's a minus. We have our overall installed. 717 1.6 30 over 20 7. Just going to let this warm up a tad. Some tension on
So
it.
you've got both springs in there at the same time, have you?
The whole assembly, including shim.
Oh, okay.
Because there's so many variables, you've got 2 springs at play. We're checking the whole lot as a whole. So what we're going to do is we're going to zero the tool off at 1.7 and then work our numbers off that.
Okay.
So let's put those around there. So this is a setting gauge.
So why does it have 2 springs?
Just more tension.
Okay. And they don't, couldn't have achieved the same with a tighter spring or something like that.
I think by modern standards they'd probably go to something a single probably. Technology's changed a fair bit, technology materials. So we're on 1.7 on there. So we're going to zero off. And on inches. Right, so we'll start with number 1. Intake, exhaust, sorry.
So you know where the 0 is for the
Height, yeah, so we're zeroed off on there.
Yeah.
So we're 1.717, so we're going to go just for, we've got the numbers on the side here.
Yeah.
So we're at 70, 60, after 17. £40.
So why are you after minus 0.17 there?
Because, so we're zeroed on 1.7.
Yeah.
So this is slightly above 1.7, so slightly taller.
Yeah.
So it's a minus.
Okay. Right.
So these other ones are going to be going past the 1.7, so it's going to be a plus.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so we're probably going to have to shim the exhaust.
Okay.
But we kind of knew about this anyway.
This is testing the pressure of the springs as
the
well.
pounds, yeah, closed pressure. I mean, we could go and test open pressure, but it's just a whole other thing. We're kind of looking for a base here.
And how do you know you're doing it to the right? Oh, you're doing it to £40, are you? That's what you want.
No, I'm looking at this one for our numbers.
Okay.
So we're going past the 1.7 to 1.679, so we're looking for a 21 here.
Okay.
You see it counting up. 48.
And what kind of foot-pounds are you looking for?
It's a bit of a dark art, to be honest.
Okay.
Often the information's very hard to find. The books don't always give it in the way that I'm testing it here. They give you an individual.
Right.
They'll tell you the inner should have this and the outer should have that, and then you're meant to add it, and then you're meant to... It gets pretty long, so
Okay.
I've got records. I'm going to say, with the valve about that size, 48 would be about right.
Okay.
So somewhere around 50.
And the same,
like
the
that.
40 for the exhaust would be about right, though, would it?
We want to raise the exhaust up a bit.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
So
yeah,
this is where we start introducing shims.
Okay, right. To get the right pounds.
Yeah. So we're 1.670, so we're going to the 0 and then adding a 30. We'll do it again. You know, sometimes you go through a whole engine and they're all the same, and then you'll find one which is not. Which is normally a lot lower, because the spring has been, like if a car's been stored with this valve completely compressed for many years, then it will start to weaken the spring. We shall see. So our number on this one, 1.57. This is a lot higher, so this one's definitely going to need some shifting. Not too far. Yeah, way down on that.
So you expect them all to be about 48 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would sort of be a factory height, I would imagine.
Okay.
Being a new head. I'm sure the internet will have different ideas. But yeah, let's see what we've got in the way of shims.
Okay.
And we'll start introducing.